Hi again, Holistic Healthcare. So today's letter is on the letter S for the ABC series. So body, mind and emotions, for anyone that hasn't seen the others, that's the aspects of this model in holistic health. So S letter today for the body is the systems. So I've spoken about this before. Our physicality that we can see, the density of it, is divided down into subunits, so cells, tissues, organs, systems, and then the whole body. So the systems are like the rooms in the house. So you have different rooms, they do different functions, but they're all part of the house. So they're very, very important to understand. Not only there, even if it's just in a small manner for a layperson, that they say, for example, the last video I spoke about the respiratory system, which is a very poignant subject at the moment, or important subject at the moment, because it's caused so much havoc on the world for such a disease to have been validated to shut basically pretty much the whole planet down. So the respiratory system we know is important for breathing. And then it's also connected to specific areas of the body, in particular the blood, the cardiovascular. And so if we've got optimal respiratory system functioning, then it's going to protect us without any external things. It'll protect us from particles that shouldn't go into the lungs, from not going in the lungs. So this is why it's important to look after each system of the whole, and then the whole works better. Because unless particles actually get into areas that are inside deeply, like the digestive system, the cardiovascular or the blood, etc., then it will become more superficial, any signs and symptoms, and the person may not actually get any signs and symptoms, and hence they're not in a state of dis-ease. Dis-ease is beautiful flow with words. And therefore, they're not a medical case, which is another issue that's being misinformed on the planet at the moment, when certain people or industries call a case someone that might have something that's being detected in the nose that might be 3 months old, that isn't, and the person is asymptomatic. That is not a medical case of an illness. It's far, far deeper than that. So understanding that all these systems work together, and so therefore by looking after our nervous system, how we are in our functioning from the captain of the ship per se. You know, I remember, it's actually it's like nearly 40 years ago when I learnt anatomy and physiology to start with. I've done years and years and years, if I put them all together, of just anatomy and physiology over my different courses, which if you go on my website, www.mediherbalist.com, you will see. A medical herbalist is my dominant job. However, I'm also a qualified registered nurse and remedial masseuse. But anyway, going off track, it's not about me, it's about you. I want to share information to help you understand that by being more holistic in your awareness, physically, we're talking about now, so the letter S, so all the systems in the body are very important to understand that, they need to be functioning as optimum as they can so that your whole performance is better. So, if you're not weeing or urinating, the appropriate times in a day, if you only wee like 2 or 3 times in a day, it's an indication that your urinary system is not functioning as optimal as it could, because there's very many important functions within that system and within the organs of that system that are necessary for holistic health or optimum health. And another one would be if you're not doing your number 2s, defecating at least once a day. There's different models of medicine, and I've spoken about this before. This is why this whole dominant aspect at the moment with so-called publicly projected health is not really appropriate, because there are different models that are very valid in societies around the world that don't focus straight on allopathic Western conventional medicine. And that's another term that I've used in the past. So, you know, it's not the be all and end all. There's many other models. And in some models, in the system of the digestive system, 3 poos a day is fabulous. That's the optimum. I remember going to a seminar with pathology, which is studying of diseases, particularly in blood samples, serology. And the lecturer was saying that they just looked up something in our Western perspective, and they were saying, oh, constipation's something like, you know, if you don't do one once a week. Well, that's not on. I've worked with surgeons who encourage and provide us with, as a nurse, medications to make sure that the patient's going 3 times a day. 3 meals, 3 times a day. There you go, 3 times a day. So if you're not doing that and you want to have better optimal health, then you can talk to your professional healthcare worker that you work with, whether it's a GP or a naturopath or a herbalist or a natural therapist, someone that's familiar and knows what they can help you. So the systems are very important, because, say, for example, with defecating, the bowels don't just defecate. They make vitamins, particular vitamins in the B group family. They make vitamin K. They make which is very important for blood. So, you know, it goes off here, the function, and there, the function. So it's very important to have each system working as well as you can. So that's the body. Body, S, the letter S today. So it's for the systems of the body, and to be more aware of that. When it comes to the mind, I'm going to talk about something that is different to some other models, whether it's natural medicine or familiarization in psychology, etc. However, in my model, the S letter I'm going to use is soul, because in my model, the psyche is part of the mind, whereas psychology talks about the brain, the mind, and the functioning aspects. So in mine, it's more less dense frequency perspective of the mind is the soul, which is an accumulation of all thoughts, movement and stillness that have been acquired to the point where you exist right now. So whether you believe that you lived had a past life, it doesn't really matter. Second law, I think, is a physics. I'm really happy for comments and corrections if anyone wants to add them. However, from my memory, the second law of physics is nothing is either created or destroyed. So if that's the case, and we've existed before we exist in this particular state that we're in right now, and there will have been some sort of movement of thought or analysis prior to that. So that is the aspect which I do go into deeper in my book, which I'm really hoping to finish very soon, which will be on holistic health. Not necessarily everything that's in these videos, it's on the model. So knowing that we have a soul as well as the physicality of our body assists in knowing that there is more to us than is physical. So when something is brought up about disease or a health state, it's understanding that, okay, there is the cells, the tissues, the organs, the systems, the body aspect. And there's also the aspect of where we've come to the point of now because of our movement or stillness of thought within the accumulation of time. So that's my soul definition in brief. And then the emotional aspect of the holistic health model with the letter S is the spirit within. Spirit is in the way I have learnt through my yogic. So I'm also a trained and qualified yoga teacher. And it's been part of my life for 47 years. And I've been practicing for that long. And so my understanding and my learnings and my practices have allowed me to come to a solid foundation that the universal existence of that which is far beyond my intellectual capacity to describe, because my mind, which is merely a container of thoughts and movements, in brief, is still limited by the capacity of what I've experienced. However, I am aware that that which is tatwamasi, that which that I am, that our art, is within myself as well, within the existence of life. If I never believed that there was this existence beyond, I would have believed it as I bring up the emotions of my memory of my mother's death. When I went to the room after I'd left her, she was alive, she was dying. She was on her deathbed. She was dying, and I went back to the room, and she had passed over, and when I kissed her, there was a difference. There was a difference. Anyone that's experienced this will know, and please feel free to share. I'd love to know there's someone out there watching. Anyway, even if there isn't, I'm just sharing this to maybe one or few. So there we know there is a greater force. And I want this to be remembered deeply in these times, because our God within, whatever term you want to use, omnipresent, greater, if you don't believe in it, and you just think this is it and nothing happens, that's fine. This is pure unconditional love, this model. There's no force, no pull. No one needs to have to be into anything. That's why for me it's so important to express my learnings through this model in this particular time in the 2021, because who knows what date you're watching this, could be 2050. You know, we need to, that sounds dictatorial. It's important, if you are a believer, that there is something greater than what your cells, tissues and organs are and systems, that there is hope, there's faith, hope and love. Because some also, having said that, some also call this greater power that exists, and I call it in the body, spirit within, Atman, it's called in yoga, Atman. So understanding that we have the physicalities of the systems with the S letter, and they're all interconnected. They're all very, 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 pardon me, very, very, very important. And then there's our collective consciousness of thoughts and movement and stillness of thoughts that are what I call the body accumulation, which is the mind accumulation, is soul. And then there's the emotional aspect of how we feel. And when we feel that extreme joy, that tingling down the body that I call tantric tingles, which has got nothing to do with another terminology, which is fine for them. Tantra just means in yoga the energy within that vibrates through the source of shapes and shapes are geometric elements. So it's that energy that and that sense of wellness and spirit. You're in high spirits to tap more into and do things that allow that to accumulate. So again, thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day or night. And remember, love always. Namaste. Thank you.